All right, Travis Rogers, Locked on Rams, one of the dynamic duo. You and Dougie over there do a great job. Alex Clancy, Locked on Cardinals at Clancy's Corner _ pass to victory here. I know one's going to be Cooper Kupp, but so let's start with that one. Let's start with the most obvious and then go through the other two, what you think the three biggest pass to victory for.
Yeah, if I'm ranking them, Alex, I think the number one thing is what we were talking about last segment. It's what all of my everydayers will hear me talk about. I right before the season started, and this was before, everything went haywire with the Rams up front. Football is super complicated if you want it to be. It's also super easy if you want it to be. If you can't protect your quarterback or control the line of scrimmage, you have no chance. It is simply, if your line is good, you're probably going to be okay. If it's bad, it's probably not going to be okay. That's number one. Can they protect Matthew Stafford? What you were talking about with the pressure, their ability to get or not get pressure, I think that's number one. They don't have to be, the 92 Cowboys offensive line, but can they give him that second and a half to be able to run more of their playbook? That's number one for me. Number two is somebody other than Cooper Kupp that Matthew Stafford can lean on a little bit. I think Cooper Kupp's going to be Cooper Kupp, right? He has to be. If he's not, then the writing's kind of on the wall there. So offensive line to a offensive weapon that isn't Kupp. Maybe it's Kyron Williams. Maybe it's Parkinson. I think those are the two most likely candidates. I'd like to see Blake Corum play a little bit. He didn't touch the field once against the Lions, so maybe there's another candidate right there. And the other thing is what we talked about a second ago too, is that defense, they're not going to take the ball away a ton. They're not going to have a million sacks. They're not going to be somebody that we're talking about the way that we talked about Aaron Donald for a decade. They don't have one of those, at least not yet, and probably never again, because the guys like that don't come around very often. You throw up another 20 spot, you probably win. Right? Like I think if this Rams defense gives up on average somewhere between 17 and 20, 21 points, somewhere in there, they're in pretty good shape. It's not going to jump off the page at you, but the Lions, Amon-Ra St. Brown had 4 catches. Yeah. Sam Laporta had 4 catches. These are two of the most dynamic players in the league at their position, and they really were pretty quiet against the Rams. So if that defense can quietly continue to kind of stifle the opposition, I think that's the third most important thing.
Before pivoting to the Cardinals, is Kyron Williams, was that game flow that he wasn't this guy? Is this like an overstated thing because he was kind of a darling last year? Is he going to be a bell cow guy? And I hate bell cow. Bell cow and gunslinger, I can't stand. Anyways, but is he going to be that one alpha in the backfield, or is this kind of like because you haven't talked about him at all today? This has been about Cooper Kupp in the pass game more than anything.
Last year when he was good, the Rams didn't lose. It was really as simple as that. When he was a storyline, when he was a topic, the Rams really didn't lose. When he wasn't, they were kind of all over the place. So I think the plan is for him to be that word that you don't like, or 2 words that you don't like, the bell cow. But I don't think that they're going to have a ton of opportunities there. I think they've got to use Matthew Stafford's abilities. I think they have to put the ball in his hands, but I wouldn't be surprised if they start. My number one criticism of Sean McVay, quite frankly, and this is the antithesis of podcasting, I don't have a ton of complaints about the coach of my team. He's terrific. The one little nitpick that I have about him, if a running play or two doesn't work, we're out. We're just going to chuck it. And they got a guy, they are very quick to go to the passing game. And I get it. Matthew Stafford's a special quarterback, but I hope that they do commit to it. And if it's not him getting the ball 25 times or whatever it is, maybe he gets it 15 and Blake Corum gets it 8, something like that. I'm okay splitting it up. They're pretty similar guys, but the Rams pass the ball. It's just what they do.
Yeah. Yeah. And we talked about in the first segment, pass is kind of like a run, just like Brady with Edelman and all those guys.
Yeah.
Just 4-yard pass, same as a run. Yeah. So for the Cardinals, a lot of it is run it back. The first 35 minutes of last week was exactly what you wanted, aside from a late touchdown by the Bills in the first half that was sparked by multiple penalties by the Cardinals that were somewhat phantom. Run it back, run the ball, get the ball to Trey McBride, get the ball to Trey Dortch with the wrinkle of opening it up a little bit more downfield. They didn't throw the ball down the field at all last week. Kyler Murray, I think, had 6 attempts over 10 yards, 2 were drops, 1 was a tip ball that was almost intercepted. Like, they need to kind of unlock it a little bit. Now, with Drew Petzing's offense, and this is something that I've preached the entirety of the offseason due to the lack of talent on defense, the best defense the Cardinals have is their run game. So it's hard for them. It's hard for me to understand why they would go away from running the ball on first, running the ball on second, throwing on third if need be to be able to milk clock, keep Matthew Stafford on the sideline, and give themselves the best chance to win. But for me, it's do the same thing as last week, just unlock it a little bit, and definitely get Marvin Harrison Jr. involved, number 1. Number 2, Kyler Murray needs to be more Kyler Murray-ish. He needs to be outside the pocket more. He had a good pocket presence, even though people didn't think last week. He took a couple sacks. He needs to get out of the pocket and just it's the Tony Romo spin. Just get the hell out of the pocket. Things that make other teams quiver. One of those is that from Kyler.
And one of the things that with Murray specifically you're talking about, the reason that Murray as a Rams person was never super scary to me is because we had Aaron Donald.
Yeah,
Aaron Donald, it's crazy to sound, he's as fast as Kyler Murray. He could catch him, right? So it's like, okay, go run around. 99 is going to catch you and break you in half. Go knock yourself out. I don't care. He's gone. Yeah, and now so the quarterback that can run around like that, I think, is a very different animal than it's been previously because Aaron Donald is not there.
Yeah, and what we saw for week 1 was Kyler Murray was doing it circumstantially. I think he had one design run for him, but the rest is he looked very smart with the ball. He looked like the old Kyler Murray, and that is something that he needs to be more special. I said that he needs to be an elite game manager with special in him. There wasn't a whole lot of special. They needed more of that, and I think that's number 2. And then number 3, which could have been number 1, but the Cardinals offense is going to win or lose this season for the Cardinals anyways, is if the Cardinals don't get to Matthew Stafford with this offensive line that's in front of them, there are going to be very uncomfortable conversations after week 2, because if they don't, that would most likely result in a loss for the Cardinals. And that's something that here's the thing. I'm not going to do, we're not going to do predictions, but it's like, you think the Rams are going to win? I'm assuming I think the Cardinals are going to win. This is one of those 50-50 ball games, a loose ball on a basketball court. Who gets this ball has a much better chance of positioning themselves to be quote unquote in the hunt in week 14 than that who doesn't. 0-2 right now is a very, very scary place to be with the construct of these two rosters.
Well, I think you said, do you guys have Detroit week 3?
Yep.
Yeah, we had San Francisco week 3. The Rams haven't beat the Niners in a meaningful game since the NFC Championship a couple of years ago. The Niners have Kyle Shanahan is the McVay guy that he cannot solve. They just have not been able to figure that out. So Rams are looking with the game on Sunday. If it doesn't go their way, they're looking at 0-3. They've got the Packers in week 5, so that's another really challenging team right there. I know they play the same divisions and everything else, but this is the one that at least let whoever wins this game go, okay, we're okay. Let's buckle up and let's go. And with the Rams' health the way that it is, Rams have a really early bye. They have a bye week 6, so it's one of those things that this game, at least potentially, they got the Bears in week 4, but this game potentially could be one of those. Hey, this is the only win we got before week 5 or week 6 in our bye. You don't want to go into that week 6 0-5. 1-4 would be real bad, but it's a lot better than 0-5.